Relentless. That word describes so much about the country and world that we live in today. And of course, it also describes us. We are experiencing relentless threats to our rights and liberties, a constant and intense assault on equity and freedom, and unprecedented threats to democracy. Those threats may be relentless, but we have a strength no force of division can overcome. We have each other. We will continue to build each other up. We will build relationships. We are invested in each other, our collective freedom and well-being. We are here for the long haul, and we will be relentless together. And in that community, there is immense power. ACLU staff nationwide and here in Washington have analyzed the promises and plans of the Trump administration, and we have never been better prepared to address this moment. We are building a firewall for freedom here in Washington state, and we intend to do everything we can to ensure that everyone lives with dignity and equity, enjoying freedoms unimpeded by racial injustice, economic injustice, and other forms of oppression. Working in the courts, the legislature, and with communities and activists all across the state, we are building that firewall with every action we take.
A second Trump administration will leverage federal law and funding to target gender-affirming and reproductive medical care across the country. Washington has made significant progress to protect providers, helpers, and patients in seeking medical care in the state. We passed a groundbreaking health data privacy law in 2023 that protects health data that isn't currently covered by HIPAA. We also passed a SHIELD law so that patients seeking medical care that is legal in Washington and their helpers are protected from prosecution beyond our borders. But there's still more we can do. Washington's elected officials should tighten protections to ensure that everyone in our state has access to critical health care. Reproductive and gender-affirming care is life-saving and necessary, and we will build a firewall in Washington to protect it.
One of the areas of our work where we are seeing relentless threats to rights and liberties is immigration. Washington has protected our immigrant communities and everyone in our state for years through the Keep Washington Working Act. This act has become even more important as we face the challenges presented by a second Trump administration. Keep Washington Working ensures that local and state public safety resources cannot be redirected away from community priorities and commandeered for federal immigration enforcement purposes. This protects our resources from federal overreach, keeps everyone in our state safer, and acknowledges that Washington's immigrant residents are critical to our economy and our communities. Washington's government leaders should build upon this protective foundation by continuing to invest in both proper enforcement of this law and support for our immigrant communities. Washington has an opportunity to expand health equity for immigrants and provide support for newly arrived immigrants. Washington should also ensure that the Attorney General has the authority to investigate civil rights violations. Working together with both state leaders and advocates from community, we look to ensure that Washington's priorities and values are not just protected, but advanced.
Surveillance technologies are expanding exponentially in both scale and scope. The Trump administration is poised to abuse these supercharged tools of mass surveillance to target and harm a range of groups. These include people seeking reproductive or gender-affirming healthcare, immigrants, and political opponents. Washington's government leaders can protect people's civil liberties through legislation that limits the data that can be accessed by the federal government and other states hostile to Washington's policies. This includes placing strict limits on the use of surveillance technologies, such as by mandating short data retention periods and prohibiting data sharing. State leaders should also pass strong consumer privacy laws to curb companies from collecting extensive sensitive data about people that is also then available to data brokers and law enforcement. We will work with community advocates and government leaders to advance policies that protect Washingtonians' information from unchecked access and misuse. Truly, a firewall for freedom.
Washington has a long history of protest, free speech, and self-expression. And the ACLU of Washington has a long history of relentlessly protecting those rights. From our founding through the WTO protests in Seattle to our recent victories protecting demonstrators from excessive force during the protests in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. That work is even more vital today, when President Trump has threatened to use federal law enforcement and the military to suppress protests. We'll work with community advocates and Washington's government leaders to protect free speech, resist federal criminalization of protest, and ensure that law enforcement complies with limits on use of force and protects those engaged in political dissent.
The challenges are formidable, but together we are strong. As a community of advocates, we will not only defend the rights and liberties of everyone in Washington, we will advance our strategic plan to make our state a more equitable and free place to live. And we will defend our hard-won rights together. We will make Washington a firewall for freedom, and we hope that you will join us.